Okay. It looks like the mic's working. As always, I mean, come on. First question, is it one of my streams? If the first question isn't, can you hear me? Oh, I'm so dim. I've got to figure out the lighting setup in this new room. But if I turn the light on, it's going to be way too much. So we're going to leave it dim and cozy. We'll call it cozy and intimate. But hi, it's been quite a while. I have a whole new setup. I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to look and all of those things. So that's interesting. See, there's a new angle. You can see my poster and all of those things on this wall that has yet to be adorned. All of that is going on. It is the first live stream of 2023, which is odd to think about because we're already so deep into it, but I have not live streamed since before I had the baby. And then afterwards, I was just too busy, and that was a scary flash across the screen, and too paranoid to do it. I'm still paranoid. So this stream is going to be full of are my kids awake paranoia, but we're doing it anyway. We're doing it live. I was inspired to come on and just chat because I was looking at solicitations, which are all the way up to December already. So there are all these Santa covers and all of those things. And it was just putting me in a very weird headspace. And I kind of wanted to do a solicitations video, but those take forever to edit because I love to read every single detail. And I was like, you know what? I should ask you live if you'd like to do it live. We won't do it tonight live. But if you're interested and that's something where it might be fun to do together live, I can actually up my game and open my StreamYard and share a screen and we can look at the solicitations live and I can show you all of the surprising amount of Santa Green Lantern variants that are out there. And the one cover that was made just for me of like the Hal clearly tripped and fell on the floor. And I was like, oh, it's my Christmas present. I know I have a problem. It seems like people are amenable to that. That's good. I like to see it. Oh, the Goku shirt? Yeah, it's a standard Goku shirt. I've worn it before in videos. It's just always nice. It's just a quick, nice throw on, and it's fun. I don't have a collection of them like I do of Nicolas Cage shirts, which is an odd thing to have a collection. I have a couple Nicolas Cage shirts that are so inside Nick Cage fandom shirts. I've never worn them on camera. But oh, Ben Chan, I love the Nort Before Christmas. Maybe they can do an entire issue of just rehashed covers for Nort. One new centerfold. I'm not salty about the swimsuit edition. I just think that it definitely was such obvious cash grab. But yeah, I thought it would be nice to just see how everybody's doing. How's 2023 going? What are you reading? What are you catching up on? What are we doing? As the thumbnail indicated, it was not just thumbnail bait. I am making my way through top 10. You know that it is serious because we've got the tissues inside the book. So you know that I am marking things to remember and that I want to bring up when I eventually tackle this. It's taking me longer to reread it than anticipated. I haven't read this one. Firstly, I've never read all of it entirely through like I had Tom Strong, and I haven't read it as recently as Tom Strong either, which just lives rent-free in my brain. So it's definitely denser in many ways than Tom Strong, and just because there's so many characters and it's such an ensemble piece, so like getting into it is taking a bit. That's not to say it's bad. It's just taking some things you can sit down and you can just read. It doesn't take much of your effort or attention. This is something that you really have to sit down and pay attention to. Like, okay, we're sitting down in a room, no distraction, serious business, blinders on. We're just going to sit and we're going to read it. But it's been enjoyable. And the more I read it, the more I'm getting into it. And it's definitely going to be interesting to check it out. Let's see what you're reading. Fumo Chabalala says, I'm on volume 7 of Sandman. Nice. Oh, that's a good reread. That's a fun one. I need to do that at some point. Just start from the beginning. Why? To make it difficult. I just like recently started rewatching all of Adventure Time from the beginning because I can, and also because Fiona and Cake is airing, and so that's fun. That's a fun thing to. But those episodes are only about 11 minutes each, so it's not quite as intensive as the Babylon 5 rewatch that I recently attempted, which did not get as far. There's only so much time in the day to dedicate to various things. When you're trying to reread top 10, you don't have time. It's interesting. Top 10 is definitely a lot more niche and something that I can see being a lot more polarizing in terms of some people are absolutely going to adore it and some people are just not going to be able to get down with it, and a lot of it's going to have to do with how much you can handle the cop tropage and the grit, because this isn't like this is gritty cops, this is grit and prostitution rings and all of those things, but then it's also like, look at all these different characters, that's a talking dog. He's got a robot body, which is fantastic. I love Sarge. What are we up to? Oh, someone else is rewatching Adventure Time. Yeah. Were you prompted also by the Fiona and Cake, which incidentally has rendered those comics not canon, which there's a whole thing about canonicity in that fandom, and like the comics were a big part of that and now they're not. And do any of you follow like follow-up TV show tie-in comics and fall down those holes of what is canon and what isn't canon? It can be a good time. It's a good time to me. I enjoy those type of pedantic discussions, as one can probably glean if you've watched a decent amount of my videos. Oh, the cats. The cats are here. They want to come in. But if they come in, they're going to scratch my chair. And I'm not sure if I'm down for that at all. So how many of you, why does it keep flickering like that? It's so scary. It's haunted. You know why it is? It's because I finished my script for the Me You Love in the Dark today, and now it's coming through my screen. It's glitching at me. I had some things to say about the entity, and now it wants to say its ways. I'm very much looking forward to that. It's going to be very much an analysis style video, very deep, those kind of things. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those things where I'm not sure if it's going to gel with the algorithm or not, but it's going to be fun to produce, kind of like the top six Tom Strong stories that I did, which sometimes you make videos when you're a YouTuber and you just know that they're not gonna hit, but you want to make them anyway. And that's how it's been with Tom Strong. I've managed to get most of the Tom Strong out of my system for now, but I do still want to do the worst stories. I mean, it's the rule of lists. If you're going to do the best, you got to do the worst, right? Otherwise you'll feel incomplete, like something is it's hanging, like it hasn't fully been finished and finalized. I got to talk about issue 23. No one else is going to probably, so it's the perfect time. Also, I need to know, how echoey is this room? I'm trying to figure it out. When I was in the attic, you couldn't see it because it was off to the side, but there was all kinds of drapery and sound paneling happening. That hasn't happened yet. I figured that maybe because there was carpet, it might carry its own, but I don't think that's happening based on we'll see. Oh, it's not bad. That's good to hear, because I was about to go mad with a bunch of ceiling draperies and all kinds of things that would be very difficult to explain if anybody was going to come over and visit. Just like, why do you have all those drapes hanging from the ceilings? Like, for reasons in the streaming room. Oh. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it. It might end up being a lot longer than the Tom Strong video, or having to be broken up into different parts. But as I was asking, then I got distracted, as is often the case when I don't have a clear focus on these streams. How many of you have read this? Oh, if there's any sharpness, that's just because the top of my mic fell off. You can probably see it, but the top of my mic fell off because the cats were scenting it, and they just scented it right on off there, and I'm trying to locate it, and when I locate it, it'll go back on, and then the mic will be crisp and beautiful as it should be, perfectly balanced as the sounds should be. Ah, yes. So, night terrors, as someone asked, any opinion on night terrors being over, says Tevya? That was a thing that I read. I was doing the videos week by week, and I was enjoying doing them and catching up in that way and finding it interesting, but viewers not so much. And just the way that the algorithm works, if you produce too many things that people aren't interested in, it starts to penalize you for it. And so it became one of those things where I was thinking of, okay, well, if they're not liking week by week, maybe I'll do like a huge catch up at the end. And then wrap it all up in a big giant night terrors scary bow. But it just didn't end up being compelling enough, frankly. It was very, very disjointed, and it just became one of those cases where just a lot of the tie-ins varied, which is fine, but it just became one of those things where there wasn't too much to say about it. It was just like some of the tie-ins were a lot stronger than others. Some were kind of mid, some were bad. Ultimately, most of them didn't end up mattering in the grand scheme. And then the finale of the reveal of Insomnia was kind of eh. And then they just went over to now we're doing Beast World, I think is what the next event is called, the Beast Boy centric one. This makes me feel like I've fallen back in time to one of those Beast Wars time period, but Beast Wars was really good. No shade against Beast Wars. Transformers. But how many people followed it? So I want to know how many people were actually following it week by week. Were you following all of them, or were you just following certain ones, or just the ones that were in interrupting the characters that you were reading, if you were reading any of those characters? Because I fell off just instantly. None of them. Yeah, I feel like not too many people were deeply invested. This is the kind of thing, even though it was overall pretty mid, where an omnibus would be nice, because I like having things entirely collected, and then you can just flip around to the stories that you want. And then that would be a great thing to say, have the omnibus, and then you could do a video, because that's where my headspace is always at, and then you could rank them in that way. There was a lot. There was a lot. It was an investment of time and remembering, and I'm just amazed I managed to remember that Wonder Woman is coming out tomorrow. I've been trying to keep track of it because I want to do that one. It probably won't come out this week. It'll be the following week, most likely, knowing how quickly I get to things. But there are so many amazing Tom King quotes that I'm just like, I just want to put them all in a video together. Every time I saw one in the lead up to the actual story, I was like, save, save, save. I want to read these quotes because they're delicious and wonderful. I'm a collector of quotes, so I want to read them because some of them are beautiful. They're wonderful. We're going to have a good time experiencing them together. I'm more excited to read the quotes. I just love sharing where the artist is coming from, or the PR that is being pushed out. I find that to be so interesting. And there's been some, they're not concerning is the wrong word, but just this could go in some interesting directions quotes, like some of them about her being just a natural born rebel, or being too perfect, or not feeling like the right person to write Wonder Woman, but that's exactly the reason why you should write Wonder Woman. I'm like, yes, give it to me. Give it to me to read. I also just like checking out number ones in general, especially when someone is promising a bold new direction, because I just want to be there. I want to experience it. I want to see how it is. You never know. I'm genuinely excited for things like that. I was just like I was excited for Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville. I was curious as to how that was going to go. And I said to somebody in the comments that I'm pretty sure I'll be back for issue 2 for Smarty Pants. I'm morbidly curious to see how that's going to go and also how they're going to do the Guy and Ice relationship and just a couple of other things. So I'm curious enough to stick around, basically. Perhaps laughter will be had. I don't know. I'm open to it. I'm open to laughing. I'm open to having a good time. This October isn't looking like it's going to be too spooky, Josh. At least not so far. I mean, I think we did all our spook in the summer. We got all of our night terrors out there. There's not enough scary left. What are we going to do? What's scary? So, not only am I rereading that, but I'm working my way through one of my special boxes because sometimes people send me comics, which is always very sweet, and I'm always very appreciative of it. I was working my way through some of them, and so we'll get to see some classics. I always love when people send me marriages as well. That's always just like, yes, you know me. You know I want to see people get married. I want to see that Silver Age, Bronze Age goodness. But yeah, I've got some fun ones to check out. Like this one. Ooh. And oh, Jimmy. Hi, Jimmy. Like, check out this one. You know it's going to be a good time. You know it, especially when the future fashion is so on point. Oh, poor Superman. He can't go anywhere, you know? What a hard life. And whenever I get anthologies like this is always what I'm thinking of when I see the modern anthologies, even of reprints. This is so exciting. Look at all the exciting Jimmys you get. Jimmy's Wedding, Jimmy the Human Skyscraper, Elastic Lad Jimmy. Pretty much a lot of the Jimmys that we did in our Transforming Jimmy Olsen vid. I'm actually compiling a lot for there's another compilation video that I want to do of Silver Age stories and some later, but mostly Silver Age, and it's Red K, Red Kryptonite. So just Superman and his weird Red K encounters. I think that'd be really fun. I really enjoy doing Jimmy Olsen turns into things. And I think we could have a lot of fun with things like Superman grows a rad beard because of Red K and he's a big ant, all of those kind of things. But they're small enough that they probably don't need their own video, but it would be fun to put them all in one location together. And then, you know what I really want is just to use the clips from Smallville of Clark and his silly leather jacket when he was so edgy because of the red kryptonite. That's the secret goal that people need. Lane Kamar, thank you very much for the super chat. You said, so I nearly fell out of my chair. DC is bringing back the DC White Rabbit and a story in Batman and Robin. Who would have believed it? I believe it. I'm just waiting for everybody to come back. It's just there's so many people to cycle through. And they even have new people right now that's going on, like the Vigil City Boy. I can't just say City Boy. I'm always like City Boy. I've got to add a little extra emphasis to it. I don't know why. I can't leave it alone. I actually haven't read any City Boy, but I feel like I should. But then I feel like I'd also pronounce it that way the entire video. I've really, really fallen off of Marvel lately. And every time I try to get back in, I always end up going way further back and not into what's going on right now, except for, of course, you know me, a good what if or a bad what if. I'm always there for some kind of alternate universe wacky. Sometimes it's wacky. Sometimes there is this flicker and it's so scary. And I don't know why it's happening. Well, let's see. Emma's marrying Tony. There's a way. Yeah, that is happening. Then they looked very nice in that upcoming art, didn't they? Looking very fly for their what? Oh wow, I dated myself so much right there. There is a book on the floor. Do you want to know what it is? Do you want to know what the book is? What the book on the floor is? What I was flipping through? Hold on. Ah, there is the Infinity Gauntlet. I was rereading some of it just because that's what I do. Even though I love omnis so much, but they are in no way conducive to just casually picking up and flipping through. You have to get a whole thing set up. It's even hurting me right now on my knee just holding it open like this, but it's good. It's really good, and it's epic. It is genuinely an epic saga. For anyone who hasn't read it, very different from what was going on in the MCU, as are most things. That's neither indictment or praise. It's just a statement. They've kind of created their own separate universe at this point, sometimes to their strength, sometimes to their detriment. It really depends what's going on. But this would be, if you're really into cosmic characters, or if you wanted to see some cool Adam Warlock, or if you wanted to see some really cool Silver Surfer stuff, then this definitely worth checking out. Oh, it's heavy. It's heavy. Yeah, lots of times in my background, you can tell what I'm reading just based on what is pulled out or strewn around, like the minions. The minions are back there. And oh, Galactus is off to the side. You can't see him, but his head was off and his head's back on. My children stole his head, and it took me over a week to find it. It took so long to find his head. It was so bad. But I'm glad it's back and uninjured. My hero clicks Galactus. He brings me great joy. Ah, someone when I changed my room was saying, like, you're turning into one of those generic rooms. I'm like, no, I can just finally put Captain Kirk and the Gorn up. They can finally stand up. And at some point, I may open them. I know you're not supposed to, but they're meant to be played with. That's what toys are for. The Rich and Mighty says, I would love some Detective Chimp, Booster Gold, or Mr. Mind stuff if you're willing, miss. Ooh, I've always wanted to do Mr. Mind. I have done Booster Gold stuff in the past. I have a couple of videos. I have some on his origin, his 80s stuff. And I've talked about him a few times. It would be cool to do a retro on his own series at some point. It's a really good series. The New 52 pickup stuff was really good. Detective Chimp, but Mr. Mind. I just Mr. Mind is so fun and so ridiculous, and it's just that glorious kind of early comic stuff that I really, really enjoy, where it's just like, yeah, just an evil caterpillar mastermind with glasses. And it's just so fun. And I was so sad that they didn't get to really go with it for Shazam 2, which is because of all the behind the scenes stuff, had to go and do very different things. It's too bad. As terrible as the CG on the caterpillar probably would have been, I would have liked to see it anyway. Oh. The blue and gold miniseries, that took a long time to come out. Sometimes the hiatuses really hurt when you're actually following things as they come out. I'm very curious if we're going to be able to maintain the role we've got going on the JSA right now, because that's had some hiatuses. I have a yes. Ew, it's so red on camera. Oh dear. It's red flavor. Kitsune-kun 2, thank you very much. Have you ever heard of Madame Fatale? Or Fatal? I can't just say that without saying Fatale. I have, but I don't know much about her. That's the thing with comics. And I've always toyed with making a video like this, but it's usually after I've watched one of those philosophical videos about life, and it's always very inspiring. It's like, yeah, I too could make videos like this. But it's one of just the topic of, you can't read everything, but that's exciting. At least to me, it's exciting. The idea that there is so much out there and so many different corners and avenues to go down that you can't explore it all. And you can just kind of find your own corner and your own characters and the things that interest you. And I personally find that very exciting, not daunting, but it's just that there's always something new to discover. I'm always learning new things, discovering new interviews, discovering new quotes, discovering new characters or plot lines. And that's so much fun. Like when you're rereading something for another character and you stumble upon the cursed fire and guy dating subplot that was just a blip and now we don't talk about it. And now I want them to talk about it so badly. That needs to be a comedy plot in Welcome to Smallville. I want that awkwardness. If we're doing just a, ooh, it's a slice of life, quirky comedy, give me that. Give me that drama. Give me that over King Shark making lettuce jokes and all the other things that were happening there. Oh. Oh, thank you, Drake45. I'm enjoying it too. It's coming together. As you can see, the new setup isn't entirely done. There's a whole side wall, and all the comics aren't up. There's still some space on the shelf for a few more of them, but there are a bunch more. So I may need another bookshelf. But here is the entirely first world problems dilemma. There's not enough to fill an entire new bookshelf. And if I get a new bookshelf, I'll just want to buy more comics to put on it. So maybe it's for the best that not everything can fit. You know, when you see an empty space, it must be filled. At least that's how I feel about an empty bookshelf. Stuff's got to go on it, you know? You can't just sit there. Tevya asks, any opinion on the new Blue Beetle comic, the new one, because they did Graduation Day and now they are doing a new one. I really like the artist on it. I've liked them for a while. They were an artist I discovered when I was working with Interpop, and I really like the work they did there, and I'm still very much enjoy it. I know sometimes it can lead to some interesting facial expressions, but overall, I just like the fluidity and the vibrance, and it just feels very energetic. So I very much enjoy the art style. I can see why some wouldn't, because sometimes on the faces, some of them can look kind of sameish or end up very cartoony. But overall, I think it's got a fun energy that matches the tone that they're going for with Blue Beetle right now. So I think it works. The Rich and Mighty. Thanks again. Ooh, with Spooky Month coming. Got any ideas? Okay, so every spooky month, I read horror comics all the time. All the time. I just don't talk about them all the time. But there are a few that I would like to spotlight. And since I'm feeling more comfortable doing kind of list-ish format, I think it might be fun to recommend some of the ones that I think are really scary, because horror is such a hard genre to do. And so I end up always being pretty critical of it because it's very easy to just not be scary. So I think it would be really fun to highlight just some of the really just horrific ones, because there are some very interesting ones out there, rather than doing an entire dedicated video to one series like I did with Red Mother, because then if someone hasn't read it, they may not be as into it. I think maybe just compiling them might be the best way to get some of those horror comics out there, and then you too can be spooked or not spooked if we don't find the same thing scary. So just catch up here. What is flickering over there? It's an ad. I have two screens now too. That's part. See, what happened was in the attic, there wasn't space for a bigger desk, and I needed a bigger desk so that I could be a real YouTuber with two monitors. And now I have two. And that's also how we're going to be able to do Solicits live, because then I'll be able to have one screen that I'm sharing and one screen where I'm reading chats. Truly, it is the future. The future is now. Will Jenkins asks, what are your thoughts concerning Alan Moore's run on Supreme? That's another one that would be interesting to talk about, because some people, when I was doing Tom Strong, kept saying, well, like, oh, it's just like Supreme. But no, I feel it's different. And I feel there's a very different energy behind it. So I think that would be interesting to discuss. But I don't want to do too many more things in a row. I actually wanted to do a video about not being an Alan Moore purist, but that would have been very insider baseball. But what I mean by that is that there are some people for whom, not just Moore, but just in general, the author's word is law. And whatever they say, like, they won't go past, like people who won't even watch the Watchmen movies or anything because he doesn't like them. And I'm just Not like that at all. I like to see things. I like to form a different opinion, whether I think it's good or bad or whatever. But then I was like, that's a very sometimes I go too inside, like too nerdy, you know? Sometimes my husband teases me and he goes, "You know, your channel is called Casually Comics, not super insider niche comics." I'm like, "I know. I can't help it. That's why you're here." M, thank you very much for the super chat. Asks fave slash best legacy character and why it's Nightwing. No, just joking. I'll toss it back to you though. Who is your favorite slash best legacy character? Because I have a lot of them, and the answer could be different depending upon what mood I'm in and what I'm reading. Like if you ask me that today, I might be like, oh, it's Jack Knight Starman. But if you ask me that 2 weeks from now, it could be like, oh, it's Nightwing, or oh, it's Cassandra Cain, or it really depends on what kind of headspace I'm in. But in general, I very much enjoy legacy characters and the passing on of mantles when done correctly. I actually also have a very big fondness for Yara. Somebody posted a comment on my whatever happened to Yara floor buddy. I'm like, she's back. How dare you? And so I went to check the solicits and I saw they were doing another Amazon's attack thing. And it just made me laugh because I thought that we had retired that name after the last Amazon's attack and how that went to the point where they didn't even mention it as a Wonder Woman event when they did the latest one. MP says next year is Batman's 85th, Nightwing's 40th, Nightwing Legacy 300, Catwoman Legacy 300, and Batman 150. What should DC do for these milestones? Well, what I think they should do, I actually like when they do this. They tend to, but get I think you should get all of this the salient and important creators who you can together. And I think not just do the blips. I think not just do a comic with the people who you can, but also do some multimedia stuff. Do some new media stuff. Do and promote some fun interviews. Start now, there's still time, and start compiling maybe some kind of documentary or something that you could do and then promote and then release on one of the tie-in streaming apps or something. It doesn't just have to be comics. Then you can tie it back to the comics and talk about all these creators and the fun stories they had with Batman and be like, you can read them here in either the new thing that they've made or some of the older issues. I think that would be a great way to bring it to new people who might not be familiar with some of these characters or stories or know where to get them. Because when you're so deep in, it's easy to forget that not everybody is. Like when I posted those cursed Fire and Guy images, lots of people respond with like, oh, I thought he dated Ice. So, but the cats, it's cursed in this room, cursed. But yeah, that's what I think they should do. I think that would be a fun way to get more people involved. And yes, make the little TikToks, make all the things, use the tools that are out there. Bring the people. Doesn't have to be your enemy. It can be something that you can embrace and find a way to work with. The Rich and Mighty, thank you very much. Aside from Watchmen, I preferred most original Moore comic adaptations over the original. And yes, that includes LXG. You see, there are some people going to come for you now. That's blasphemy in some circles. Hi, Spencer Rogers. What's up? I like that it tells you when people who are members show up. That's why I've got to set up StreamYard so I can do the thing that all the cool people do where the things pop up on the screen, high tech. AABB, is the rest of your family as remotely into comics as you are? Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. No, nobody. Not a one. I mean, my dad likes them a little bit, but nobody is as into them as me. I don't know how this happened or why or how. Also, most of my friends aren't either. I have a couple who are into them, but most, no, it's me. It's me and you. Parasocial. That's why we're hanging out chatting about them. It's fun. It's fun to talk about them, but you also don't want to talk somebody's ear off if they're just not into it, when you start to see the eyes be able to glaze over just as they start thinking about, I don't know, whatever they're thinking about to not hear you. That's when you know it's time to stop. Tristan Gravin asks, are you a fan of Black Orchid? Would you do a retrospective? I've been really intrigued by the character, especially the theory that she was Supergirl. It would be a fun. Don't stop putting retrospectives that I should do into the universe, Tristan. Obscure character retrospective. Stop. Zap Rouse Dower. I can read tonight. I can, I swear. Says, do you prefer Power Girl's boob window suit or her new Superboy one? I don't mind the change, but she just looks like Supergirl wearing Superboy's 90s suit. I always like the boob window. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the boob window. It's a look. It's a cutout. People wear cutouts sometimes. I'd like a cutout sometimes. I think it's an iconic part of the look. I like it. I have nothing against the jacket or the covered up look either, but I like the brazen confidence of a strong cutout. I enjoy it. I mean, you can have different types of costumes or different types of characters, and I'm pro window. I'm also very intrigued as to where that solo series is going with Paige, and if we're going to be stuck with the Paige name, and just how I saw the solicits up to issue 4. I'll be there. I care a lot about Power Girl. I'll be there. That's the thing with the runs, is like sometimes you have good runs, sometimes you have bad runs, sometimes you just have runs that no one remembers. But if it's a character that you care about, I'll be there to just track the evolution and see how it's going, because that's interesting to me and a form of fun. I'm trying to articulate this. Like, even if I don't necessarily always enjoy the work, I enjoy the journey. Does that make sense? I'm trying to be articulate tonight, and it's just not happening. It's because of the red. I've had too much of the red food coloring juice. Please let her go back to Karen. I like the Karen name. I like Karen Star. Paige. JSA is just doing its own thing. JSA is off in its own universe, sub-launching all of the Golden Age heroes again, which I'm totally here for. I wish I was a bit more excited about the story premise for the Sandman, because I love Wesley Dodds, the Sandman, and I'm really hoping that they release the second half of the Sandman Mystery Theater Compendium, because I have the first half. I just need the second half. I just want it to be complete. Please give it to me. I would also love to talk about it, but I would definitely be either age restricted or demonetized or something, because that goes so hard. I could show so little. And I could talk about it, but with YouTube, it's like there's a limit. There's a limit to how many words you can use and how graphic you can get before they cut you off. And it's like you're never fully sure when you've approached that threshold. That's why you hear people use terminology that's now become more part of the common online vernacular, like SA or unalive or those kind of things, because you're not sure. You gotta play it safe. That's why people do it. And then it just becomes part of the online landscape. It's very interesting, the evolution of online language and just how that comes about. Whose side are you guys on for the Gotham War, and why? Asks Devante. I'm on the side of I'm ready to move on to the next arc. That's just me, though. That's just me and my soul. I'm going to keep it over here. Y'all can feel how you feel about the Gotham War. How do you feel about the Gotham War? I'm so curious. Carlos8560 asks, have been reading Fantastic Four. Oh, question mark. Have you been reading Fantastic Four? Been finding it kind of hard to get into. Love Fantastic Four. Your videos on them are my favorites. I love the Fantastic Four too. I love them as well. I have been. And what is it that you're finding hard to get into? Is it because it's so kind of light and fluffy? Or have sometimes the art is beautiful, but sometimes also very wonky? But now I'm just thinking about that Namor and Suvid that I've been compiling notes on for literally years. I should title it Iceberg, so I can get those sweet iceberg meta views, even though I don't think the iceberg meta is alive anymore, because the metas move so quickly here on YouTube. Spencer Matthews says, would you do a video on Chainsaw Man? No. And it's not not wanting to talk about manga thing. It's just talking about manga can be more difficult in a copyright sense if you're a person who likes to use as many supplementary B-roll images as I do. I'm a really big fan when I'm editing of putting exactly what I'm talking about. It's why I sometimes take so long to get videos out. It's because I'm looking for the exact specific panel. And sometimes what will happen to me is I will remember something happening, but not the specific issue number. It will be something like, oh, it happened between issues 110 and 138. And I am that person who will then be like, okay, to the digital archives. Here we go. Log into my subscription to DC Infinite. We're going to go through every issue till I find the panel that I want. And I do that. And when you manga's more strict about not wanting their images out there and viewing that more as a copyright violation, whether you're transformative about it or not. And so that makes it more difficult. And I know for me, it's just a totally personally me thing. I know it would bother me. I know I would be like, but I want to put the image of his head exploding in the thing. And that's largely why I don't do it. That's like, I'd love to talk about Uzumaki, Tomai. Those would be really fun for spooky month. I could probably get away with Uzumaki because I could do the list format. But still, that's largely why. And you can kind of skate when they're doing the collab things like Superman versus Meshi or Operation Joker or Spider-Man Red or those kind of things. Thank you very much, Adrian Parchman. It's appreciated. Is DC Infinite worth it? If you read comics all the time, then yes. If you're a person who really loves DC, really loves their comics, and enjoys reading on a digital format, I would say yes. There's a huge backup library, and you're not just getting the DC stuff, you're getting all the other imprints that they own and the backlogs of that. So it's like, okay, you're getting the Vertigo, you're getting the ABC Best Comics, you're getting Wildstorm, you're getting all of those things as well. They have a decent amount of the back issues digitized. Sometimes it's surprising what's not there, but there is a really big selection and they do add to it. They don't add to it as much as they used to back in the golden era of comiXology when they were just digitizing absolutely everything. But if you're a person who wants to go back and say read a complete run, like, oh, I want Generation Lost or something like that, then it is worth it because sometimes those things are out of print or they're difficult to find. So in that sense, but if you're just a person who casually picks up and reads every now and again, it's a little steep and it's also not available in every country. It only came to Canada like last year. It can be a bit finicky to use because of that on certain things. Sometimes my tablet will forget and it's like, oh, it doesn't work. So it's a bit wonky, but I would say if you're really, really into it, then yes, it's worth it. And I would say the same for the Marvel Unlimited one if you're super duper into it and you want to read comics a lot. Echo and Query. I'm kind of confused by Gotham War. Is it Bruce as we've known him or an alternate version of himself? Is that because of how he's written? That question could very much be an indictment on how he's written in that series. I'm not going to lie. I haven't been entirely following. I read the first couple and I was like, I'm going to come back when it's done. That, I don't know what that says about it, but that's how I feel about it. Yeah. And again, that's not. Sometimes online it can be difficult to talk about these things because people can take certain things as a scathing indictment or a secret, dig or anything. But it's just a lot of times it's just very casual or hyperbolic conversation about what's going on. For me, I'll be back when it's done. Is that a combo name someone's put for Chip Zdarsky and Tinny Howard? Chip Zdarsky was at the comic shop by my house recently. My husband texted me. He was like, Chip Zdarsky's here. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm really busy. I can't come. I was like, you gonna stand in line for Chip? And he was like, no. And I was like, okay. There were too many likes in that story. It got very Valley Girl. What an interesting story. No, it wasn't. What a nothing burger of a story. I'm so sorry. Like the vampire story thing. Oh, DC versus vampires? I know. I'm the worst. But that when you come here, you're getting an authentic comic reading experience of just sometimes completely falling off of things. At least that's what I tell myself to cope. That's the copium that I tell myself when I don't follow through with something. But very much this channel is very much just my whims and what's interesting to me and stories that I think you'll find interesting or news or that kind of stuff. And yes, and I hope that you enjoy being along for the journey and wherever it takes us, or doesn't in some cases. Jay Sozi, thank you very much. What key issues, set would you like to own? Also, I'm a huge fan. Thank you very much. Bringing to light the content we deserve, but not the one we need. What would I like? Okay, so for those who've been here for a while, you'll know the answer to some of this. There are some key issues of Astro City that I am missing. And even though they are reprinting them, they have still not gotten to the issues that I'm missing. And I live in hope that one day they get there. That would be very nice. I would love for them to actually do a complete collection of the Booster Gold post 52, not new 52, post 52 run. I would absolutely adore that. And I would love to have that in my collection. I think it would be great. The final of the Sandman Mystery Theater Compendium. I would also enjoy that. What else do I want? I'm trying to think. Oh, I would love for a proper collection of the Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane and Superman's girlfriend Jimmy Olsen. I think that would be fantastic. I feel like I'm the only person in the world who wants that, but I would adore having all of those in one place. No, they were really popular and important runs in their day too. That's how I'll sell it to them. That's my pitch for historical relevance, like the Criterion Collection. We need all of these Lois marriages for historical significance. That's how I'll pitch it. I would love that though. I think that'd be really fun. I like the idea of these things being collected and preserved and being able to look at them. The good, the bad, the wacky. That's just me though. What about all of you? What are some things that you are missing that you would love to have in your collection? As you can tell, just the way I collect is very much in bulk because they're not singular issues, but that's just how I came into collecting was in trade formats. This is how I think about them. I hang out sometimes on cheap graphic novel websites just to see what's on sale and see if I can scoop up a cool deal of something I haven't read before. I've been eyeing some of the Parker omnibuses for a while. They keep flirting with dropping, and if they do, I'll be there. I'll be there for the deal. I want to see what you guys want. Let me see. Yeah, Darth Messiah. Yeah, I know. Jay Sosi, any anime or manga sets? Oh, yeah, lots. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of manga and anime that I need to get all of them finished, and some of the runs are very long. I don't have all of Trigun. That's only some Trigun back there. I need the rest. But in terms of manga, I am more of an anime person, but Food Wars, I need to finish my Food Wars set. I need all the recipes. Give me all the recipes. I was reading that. I used to have all of Love Hina, and then I moved at one point, and some of them got lost. And so I really should replace the ones that I have some questionable manga. Just from because I started collecting that really, really young. I started collecting manga before I started collecting comics. I used to collect those big Shonen Jumps that would come over. Then one day I gave them all to my brother and I live in regret, but that's okay. Oh, Trigun's getting a new deluxe edition, huh? That's exciting. Ooh, I'm glad I know that. Ooh. Hi, Scott Marshall. I also don't have all my Berserks yet, but Berserk isn't even done. So it's like sometimes it's hard to motivate myself. Oh. Ooh, Langley wants to know how everyone is, which I think is a good question. How is everyone? Are we all good tonight? It's tonight where I am. I don't know what time it is where you are, but right now here, it's tonight. Also, do people enjoy collecting? That's another question because collecting is an entirely different mindset. I'm a big collector of things in general, but this is by far my yeah, it's eclipsed the Star Trek collection. The comic collection has eclipsed the Star Trek collection at this point, for sure. But I like it, and I like that my kids can come in and pick off the ones that are appropriate and look at those. Not all of them. Don't pick all of them off. No collection lasts forever. No, of course not. But I'm hoping that my kids will like it enough to maybe keep some of it and pass them on. Keep books as long as you can, I mean, nothing lasts forever. We're all eventually just dust in the universe. Have you watched the OPLA? If yes, thoughts? I don't think so. At least I don't think I have, unless it's a super obvious abbreviation and I'm just completely blanking. I did watch the Doom that came to Gotham, and I kind of want to do a comparison between. I want to do lots of things, as you can tell. I kind of want to do a comparison for that. I'm trying to find a good copy of the 2006 Aquaman pilot because that would be fun. Jamal Taylor, any chance of doing some videos on the Star Trek comics? My Trek collection far exceeds my comic collection. I love the Trek comics so much. Here's the thing. You've seen it happen before. I try and keep some of the nerddom contained inside of like a shell, And when it comes to Star Trek, that can't happen because it's my first fandom love, and I can't keep it contained, and it just spills out into I assume my true nerd form, and people aren't ready. I can see I'm losing the capacity for speech. Hey, Sozy, I desperately need all Epic Comics Akira set. Yeah, that looks good. Ooh, I also want the Battle Angel Alita. All of those. I've been eyeing that for a little bit too, or Alita Battle Angel, whatever version, because now that they have the movie, I always confuse which way I'm supposed to be saying it. Gotta catch back up. Would you consider doing an LSG video? It's one of my favorite series. Love the idea of fictional universes being tied together. I don't know. That's the thing. I can't say yes or no to any video because I have so many ideas. I would probably benefit, honestly, from having an editor, but I love doing all the editing myself. I know how I want to do it, and I can't imagine passing it off because even though that would allow me to produce more content, I genuinely enjoy editing. And I know that if I were to hand it off, I would probably pedantically pick at little things. I don't want to be that person. I'm not going to let myself be that person. I will pick up myself. Dylan the Villain, hi. Who is your favorite Star Trek captain? And do you like Captain Archer? I like that you're already preparing yourself. Like, hold on. I know he brought his dog to that negotiation, but he's okay. I hope so. I don't hate Captain Archer. He's not my favorite. Okay. This is gonna be a tiered answer. Captain Picard, Commander Sisko. I didn't love when they promoted him to captain. I felt that was just like, oh, they all need to be captains. I thought it made more sense that he was commander of the station. But I like Sisko in general overall as a character. I think he's awesome. And I think his arc and the dual role of the emissary and having to be in Starfleet, amazing. Mwah, chef's kiss. But in terms of captaining and like traveling through like the universe in a Trekkie way, not just sitting so much, even though Deep Space Nine is my favorite. So it's between Picard and Kirk, but they have very different styles. So it really depends what type of leadership you're looking for. And I get in trouble sometimes when I say it, I like Kirk, because in some circles you're not supposed to like Kirk, but I do. And I like them both. And Picard edges it out because I do love a good Picard speech. They're just so satisfying. They're so satisfying. But I could find good things to say about all of the captains or all of the series, even the ones that aren't that great. So yeah. There we go. Let me catch back up. What do you think about the DC One Bad Day comics? They ranged. They varied a lot. There were some good ones, there were some bad ones, and it also felt like it was one of those events where everybody got a homework assignment, but nobody fully understood it. I think the person who actually if the homework assignment was, we need to do a comic issue that's like One Bad Day Joker theme in Killing Joke, then I think the person who got the assignment the best was probably Tom King. But also his was just quite the interpretation of the Riddler. But some of the others were interesting, but then they didn't fall into the whole it was one bad day format. So they all really ranged. They really ranged. But again, they did a nice hardbound set where they're all nice with the spines that are all strong, and I'm into it, but I don't want to spend the full price that it is right now. So I'm gonna wait until it probably goes on sale at some point, and then it'll be mine. Cuz I'm one of those people. I liked the concept. And I was this close to talking about the Clayface one, and I still might. But we need to do Johnny Williams and Ethan Bennett before that happens. We need to do Johnny Williams. I can't get to the end of 2023 without having done the 8th Clayface. It can't happen. We can't live in that timeline. That is the darkest timeline, and we can't let it happen. I can't let it happen because I'm the one who edits the things for this channel. I've actually filmed it. I need to edit it. Felipe Roque, thank you very much. How many Lois Lane weddings do we need in order for James Gunn's DC to work properly? More. Definitely more. We need to go back in time and add many more weddings. I'm so intrigued to see how all of that is going to work out. Mess or brilliant, I'm excited. I think the thing that would bum me out the worst is if it was boring or mediocre, but I'm here for a beautiful disaster or for something genuinely good. I would love either of those things. I mean, I own the Blu-ray for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. That I enjoy that movie for all the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. Oh, One Piece live action. I have not been watching One Piece live action, but my husband has, and he loves it. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 vote. And he's the bigger like anime and stuff person, so I will take his word for it. K Booty asks, cake or pie? In the ultimate showdown of cake or pie, you can only have one. There can be only one. Cake. I'm gonna go cake. What about tossing it back? Cake or pie? We know that Superman's here for pie, but oh, now people are just throwing me Trek questions. You want me to nerd out? That's it, isn't it? Like the Hulk. You're trying to get me to enter nerd form. Okay, what's your question? Fave first officer and fave doctor from Star Trek. Ooh, fun question. Fave first officer. Okay, fave first officer, gonna go obscure and gonna go with original number 1 from the What Was the Original pilot with Captain Pike, where they had the fun dynamic of him and then a really cold kind of analytical female first officer who was played by Majel Barrett, but then the network didn't like that dynamic. She wasn't soft enough, and so she ended up playing Nurse Chapel when they did the actual series, and they pulled that back and you didn't get to see that dynamic until Strange New Worlds. But Strange Worlds is not written as maturely as adultly, so you don't get that, which is too bad. I do enjoy Strange New Worlds, but it definitely doesn't have the mature edge that some of the best Trek does. It does get a bit CW-y at times, but as someone who watched all of Smallville, I can hang with that too. So, and as for favorite doctor is definitely Hologram Doctor from Voyager, all the way. What are your most wanted DC ships? And I know you mean shipping. I know that's what you're asking, Spencer. Do you mean canon ones or fanon ones? Because that's a very different question. I am still someone who enjoys and loves to entertain shipping. I just don't run the channel anymore, but I do still very much enjoy it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I'm at in terms of my DC ships. at the moment. Ever since I started doing the more deep, like analytical thematic videos, I haven't had as much time to time to I'm trying to think of the word. I just kind of like play those kind of thought games with those kind of things. So it's been a while. What do you think of Star Trek Lower Decks? It ranges. It ranges, and you have to be in the mood for that type of humor. And I'm of the mindset of like someone like SF Debris, which is that Trek has always struggled with humor. So yeah, it varies. It varies. Sometimes I think it's funny, and sometimes no. Ooh, I want to see your ships. Clark and Klex. People still riding the Klex train. You love to see it. Cyborg and Jinx. Oh, a classic. Nightwing and Midnight. I was not a fan of when they tried to do that. Midnighter and Apollo all the way. The world is finally ready for Wonder Lantern. Oh, can you imagine? Oh, can you imagine Wonder Woman as written by Tom King and hot mess Hal Jordan? Make it happen. Make it so. Bring it into the world just so that we can all see it. Any chance Enjoying Pixels is coming back? I do want to game more. I do want to game more. I very much underestimate, as I always do every time I have a baby, how much free time I'm going to have. But I should be having more free time again soon. I know it sounds like such an odd statement, like, don't you know? You've had 3 babies now. But every baby's different. Every baby's different. It's different every time. How's my baby? Baby's good. And he sleeps, which is beautiful and amazing. And the thing that I was so stressed about when I started this stream, but the sleep is maintaining and it's gorgeous. I know as soon as I stop, then he'll wake up, but then that's fine. That's fine because then nobody on stream had to hear a crying baby. And that's what we want. That's what the people want. Nobody likes hearing crying babies. All the Flash ships. All of them. I just had like a moment, like your mind opens up just thinking of all the variations of the ships for the Flash. Obviously, right now, the Wally and Fire one, because Fire's on the brain because of all the Fire videos I've done. I do not mind babies crying. I mind babies crying. And I have them. I don't mind my baby crying. And I acknowledge that baby's crying, like, but it makes me want to do something. Like I want to comfort the baby. It activates mom senses. No shipping for me. Shipping's not for everyone. It's not. And when it goes too far or people get too into it, it's not fun. And I'll admit that as a full-blown shipper, but I still have fun doing it on occasion. But it's usually not in the comic fandom. Like I'm not in the shipping too much. Like it's not like hanging out in the Good Omens fandom. It's just a good time. Or the Our Flag Means Death fandom. That's a good time. There's some very fun ones. There are some very fun corners of the internet to hang out in if you're into that kind of thing. If not, then stay away because it's not for you and you don't want to be there. Be forewarned. It's like if you don't want to be on Spicy Book Talk, don't go there. Don't go. You don't want to go to there. Still, it tastes so red. It makes me so happy. It's not even a flavor. It's just a color. It's the synesthesia of drinks. Yeah, Soups and Wonder Woman as a couple is controversial. For some people, it's way too obvious. I'm one of those people who likes Superman hanging out with Lois. I like a Soups and a Lois. Shipping is sus. It's fun. It's fun. It's a fun. Here's the. It's just a different way of enjoying fandom. It's like when people get into arguments about like who would win, who's the strongest, that kind of thing. Think of it in that kind of mindset before who would get together, who would hang out, would they get along, would it work, would they not? It's just a different kind of avenue to take yourself down. Then you have the added layer of then you can use it to practice your writing or get that out there or just express these thoughts, ideas that want to be put out. It's the same idea of enjoying something so much that you don't want it to end. Like you don't want to stop watching it. You don't want to stop thinking about these characters. You want to in some way participate in their adventures. And I think that's a really fun and beautiful thing, and it can be it the when it goes awry is when those ideas then become pushed, or in such a way that thinking that other people have to view them the same way that you do, or that those ideas now need to be placed into the main universe, that they have to be. And that's when things can get toxic or go awry. It's like with anything, it's all about moderation and boundaries, just like with any other part of fandom, because any part of fandom can go too far or go awry or not be very nice to be in. It's just easier to target shippers because it is something that not everybody understands, or also when it goes awry, it can very quickly turn into people attacking fans, or like attacking other fans, or attacking creators, or attacking people's spouses, and that's nobody wants to see that, and that's not cool, and that shouldn't happen. And no, that's not a fun part of the shipping culture at all. But the creative elements and the getting together and the people who really get deep into the lore and exploring backstories and stuff, that part's amazing, and that part's very fun. But fave Trek ships, fave crack ship from anything. Crack shipping's fun. That's when you take for those who don't know, crack shipping is when you just take a ridiculous pairing or idea and just run with it, and sometimes just play it entirely serious, like somebody X bread or something like that, and that can be very fun. Fave Trek ships who belong together on Star Trek. Mostly not none of the people who actually ended up together. I was one of those people, like, boo, Kira Odo, boo. Anybody who was actually like written in, boo. I had all the sub pairings over there. And Trek is very important because Star Trek is the first example of a really strong shipping and fandom and fan fiction and that culture in the modern sense. You can trace it way further back. I mean, the Bronte sisters wrote fan fiction about the Duke of Wellington, but it's a very, very old and common practice. And a lot of people do it. It's far older than people think. A lot of people think it arose with Tumblr, but the people writing fanzines, and it was actually largely a lot of housewives writing their fan fiction about Star Trek. A lot of that led to some of the birth of some of the early cons. It's so important. It's such an important part of fandom, and it's so often just dismissed as like, ugh, those weirdos over there. I'm a proud weirdo. I'm a proud weirdo. Like I said earlier, it's like with anything. It can go awry, but can also be great. So Oh, yeah, the early zines, if you can find some of the early they have those. What was another one? So Star Trek was the one that really broke out, but you also had Man from Uncle was another one. Oh, Blake 7 over in the UK. If you can find some of those early zines, they're a trip. They're special. It's really cool. I just think it's so cool, especially before the proliferation of the internet. Imagine mailing people your stories because you don't want it to end. How cool is that? I think it's cool. I know some people are like, "Wow, you're insane. I'm unsubbing. That's disgusting." And you know what? It's fine. I know a lot of people don't get it. I get it. I get it. I understand. But I just what I understand the most is this the concept of fandom and loving something. Like you want to make a diorama of the Enterprise or the Hall of Justice. You want to put the people in it. I think that's so cool. You want to sit there and write the stats of like how strong this person is and why they can beat Goku, and then you want to make a video about it. I think that's so cool too. I think something that inspires such passion in people and that they want to get out there and just share that with other fans. I think that's so fun. I'm or the theorists. I love the theorists. Like in the back of that picture over there, look, there was a painting and it was in episode 3, and sometimes it means nothing. I love that too. That's so fun. Just the idea that like people are so excited about your stuff. I think it's fun. Oh, calm down with that beat Goku nonsense. You have to change your shirt. Very true. Very, very true. I'm supposed to be supporting Goku only because they didn't have any good Vegeta shirts for me to be wearing. Oh, I see you're all Goku versus Captain Kirk. Let's be fair now. Let's be fair with our pairing. See, that would be like a crack pairing, a crack fight. Not enough Krillin shirts. Not enough Android shirts. Where are my Android shirts? I love the Android saga. Where are my future Trunk shirts? Not enough of those either. There's not enough of any of the characters that I care about. That's always the struggle if you're into like some of the obscure side characters. It's like, where's your Booster Gold shirt? Maybe after the TV series. Maybe then there'll be Booster Gold shirts. I'm so curious to see how many of the things actually end up getting made. How many of the things we're actually going to end up getting. I know we're getting season 2 of Adventures of Superman. That's happening. They greenlit that. So that's going to be interesting. One night. Thank you. Thank you, Em. Do you like Pokemon? If yes, what's your fave? I do like Pokemon, and I'm basic, and I like Eevee. So I like the OG Pokemon. Because that's what I'm used to. What I like most about Pokemon is that I can still watch it with my kids, which is nice. We veered so hard. See, that's why I put and more in my title. At least I think I did. Did I put and more in my title? I hope I did, because we veered far. Because these always just end up being hangouts. And I like hanging out with you. I think it's fun to just chat about what's going on. And it's been building up because it's been 7 months, more than 7 months. But we gotta make it a regular thing. We gotta hang out more. Like those friends you don't see for like months, they're like, yeah, we gotta hang out more, and then you don't. But this time we are, because I really want to do those solicits, and I really want to set up StreamYard and be one of the cool kids. But you know, I won't be one of the cool kids until I have the microphone that you hold in your hand, because that's what's cool right now in the meta. And then I'll start doing it, and then it won't be cool anymore. Then we'll be doing something else. Whatever the new hotness on YouTube is to edit things like they're for TikTok. So lots of the text flashing on the screen and like green screening yourself out for no reason and putting a background behind yourself. That's the hotness. I don't feel like doing that. Will the streams be pre-announced? Okay. Fumo, the reason that I don't announce the streams is because I'm super duper superstitious about it. I've said this before on other streams. I have this feeling that if I put the streams out there into the universe, it will conspire against me to make sure that they can't happen for some reason. A tree will fall on the internet. One of the kids will get sick. Just something to make it so that I broke my word. So I'm extremely paranoid about announcing them. For that reason, I know it's so silly. I'm creating it in my own mind. I'm bringing that energy into the universe and I'm manifesting it. I know I need to stop, but I can't help it. I can't help but be superstitious about it. I'm not superstitious about a lot of things, but for some reason, I'm really paranoid that if I announce them, they won't happen. I know. Don't cross the streams. Don't do it. Don't announce them. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. They happen when they happen. That makes them more No, it doesn't. Anybody can pop in. Yeah, that's right, King Jax. Cats Extremes is like a fun game. It's a game for me too, because I genuinely don't know when I'm going to do them, because I do have so much stress around them. I love doing them, and they're a lot of fun, and it's fun to just hang out and chit chat and see whatever we end up talking about, which is usually a bunch of random stuff. But again, I always build up that something's going to go wrong, and I worry. I like one of my kids is going to run into the room or something, and I just personally, for me, I don't want my kids on camera, so I like once years ago when I still did shippers and I gamed on shippers, my eldest walked in, and I remember like closed the webcam, I deleted the stream. I was just like, no, my kids. So I I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that out there. The cats can come on. We can see cats. That's cats are allowed when they're good and not scratching my chair, which as you can see has happened quite a bit. I finally got a chair to sit on and they're up here all the time making direct eye contact, even though I set up a beautiful scratching corner for them, which they do not use because of course they don't. Cats don't go where you want them to go. They go where they want. Oh. How do you feel about sharing your fave childhood shows with your kids? I'll show them some of them, and if they're interested, and if they're not, they're not. So, that's the thing, your kids are gonna like what they're gonna like, and sometimes they'll like the same things as you, and sometimes they won't, and that's totally fine too. Yeah. What is your favorite Superman story? Hmm. Hmm. That's a hard one. You know, James Gunn, they asked him what his favorite Batman stories were, and I was just even if it was like, I don't know if he planned it was a corporate answer just to like go with what they're gonna end up doing, but I thought it was impressive that he was able to pinpoint, narrow it down the way that he did. I always have difficulty with that. Whenever somebody asks me something, I always completely blank. I'm like, I read Superman. But I think it's more an era of Superman that I enjoy or a type of Superman story. I love aspirational Superman stories. Like if we're talking about stories that I think I would recommend if I was looking for people who wanted to get into Superman, I enjoy those types, that fun aspirational Superman. If I just want to laugh and have a good time, then Silver Age jerk Superman all the way, all the time. Did you see the new Blue Beetle movie? No. No, I didn't. Is that bad? Am I bad for not going to see it? I haven't yet. I didn't see that, no. I did watch Adventures of Superman. I'm up to date in that regard. I watched the Doom that came to Gotham. Nobody watched that. I saw that one. Oh. And I like Blue Beetle. That's saying something too, because I like Blue Beetle. I didn't go. I didn't have time. There's such limited time. It's like I couldn't go with my husband because I have to get a babysitter, and I don't want to do that right now. And my next movie that I'm slated to go see is Paw Patrol: The Mighty Pups. Looking forward to it. I genuinely am. Uh, Darren asks, favorite character from extended media that hasn't made it into comics. For me, it's Indira Daimonji. Oh, so a character who's still only inside of external media. I feel like so many of them have jumped back. I don't mind when some of them stay. Some of them don't work when they bring them back. Like when they try to bring back like Chloe from Smallville, or sometimes they don't work. Some of them need to stay, and that's fine where they are. Not everything needs to be in both. There's an interview that I saved of the editor who was trying to block Harley from coming into the comic verse. I haven't read it yet, but I saved it because I'm that person who just saves articles to read at some point. But oh yeah, Rashid, I did see Across the Spider-Verse in theaters, and I am one of the people who is upset that they are altering lines from the theatrical release to the digital release. I don't appreciate that. I don't like when they do that. And I really wish if they did do that, you would have the option of still watching the theatrical version. There are little changes, but they do people aren't just being pedantic. They do alter the meaning of scenes. They really do. I want the original theatrical cut, please. What's your favorite era of Batman comics? Mine is when Denis O'Neill was group editor. I always say Denis, it's my Frenchness coming through. Was group editor from 1986 to 2000, year one to No Man's Land. What's my favorite Batman era? My favorite Batman era is not actually a comic era, even though I know the question was favorite era of Batman comics, because it's probably how I came into Batman, which is the animated series, which absolutely colored how I view everything Batman for sure. There are lots of different runs that I enjoy. I enjoyed Dini's run, which shouldn't be a surprise because I like the animated series. the 70s and like when they first are getting back into darkness, it's very interesting to read that era. That era is interesting. I do like the post-crisis era a lot as well, and I do have to say I do love the mid-2000s era, like when we're getting the Batman/Superman and that kind of stuff. I do enjoy that as well. There are lots of eras of Batman that I enjoy, though. Favorite Ghibli film, asks Jamal Taylor, taking it in a completely different direction. Just moving it somewhere else. Favorite Ghibli film? Hmm. Whisper of the Heart. Whisper of the Heart. Is it midnight? Oh my god. What? Oh my god. It's late. I didn't realize it was that late. Oh my goodness. Time flies when you're having fun. Are we gonna hang out till midnight? Ooh. Yeah, why not? Ooh, Kiki's delivery service is fun. It's almost 1:30 where you are. Aquaman 2, look, I like the first Aquaman, but I don't know. It's been so long and all like I'm sure the reshoots for 2. Mm. Langley asks, have an opinion on what's been called Kirk drift in New Trek. The idea that current producers only have a surface level stereotypical understanding of Jim Kirk as a person through pop culture osmosis. I would say so. I definitely would say so because there is definitely a pop culture Jim Kirk, which is this the lady womanizing, green alien loving, just jump into any situation, not think about it, Captain, which does not actually match with the Kirk as presented in the original series, who, yeah, yes, he loved the alien ladies, but that actually wasn't as much at the forefront of his personality and was really much more a byproduct of the formulaic nature of those episodes from the 60s. He actually was very thoughtful about the way that he approached situations and would often try and use diplomacy. And even the way that he cheats is cheating. I don't know why I air quotes it. But even the way he cheats on the Kobayashi Maru is presented very differently in the classic Trek versus the way they present it in, say, like new Trek, where it's like, oh, look at this brash young man. He doesn't need no rules. But it's very much presented as almost a character flaw of a person who just cannot accept the idea that there is a situation in which he could not save everybody, in which he could not win. He's a lot of a deeper character than the modern iterations give him credit for, and it's the cartoonish kind of meme aspects of his personality that get brought forward, and that's a shame because especially in the contrast between him and Spock, you lose a lot of the richness and depth there when you depict him in that way. And oh my god, so you tracked me. You tracked me. You tricked me into talking about Trek. You tracked me. Oh, well played. Well played. And I fell for it. I fell right in because I can't see. This is why we can't talk about the Trek comics because it'll be like 3 hours, but she's only talking about one issue. Like if I ever talk about, okay, so there are these Deep Space Nine issues that came out recently called The Dog of War, where they've got the little corgi that looks like Ein on the cover, and their Deep Space Nine issues all about how there's a dog on the station. Oh, I could talk about those issues for hours. Oh my goodness. Oh. Yeah, Tone Time, that was a very good Trek question. That was a very good and intelligently phrased Trek question, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. Those are the kind of discussions I enjoy having. Ben Chan, oh, it's turning into a Trek stream. It's turning into a Star Trek stream, and I want to pretend that I'm mad about it, but I'm not. Ben Chan asks, fave Star Trek movie. You know, it's funny. I was just thinking about this the other day for no reason, except that I sometimes think about Star Trek for no reason in the day. Ooh, it's hard because there's a ranking. There is a ranking of Trek movies, and I'm gonna try and rank them. Okay, we're gonna do it. Undiscovered Country, First Contact, Wrath of Khan. That's my order, and we're going with that. That's the order, and I'm sticking to it right now. For now. What a trek to get here. That was a good joke, Matthew, and I appreciate it. Boom. Worth it. Well played. A. Smith, no Voyage Home. Okay, I'm going to be controversial. Voyage Home may be my least favorite one. I'm putting it below the why does God need a starship movie? Oh. It's been a long road. Yeah, there we go. Enterprise theme in the house. Oh. I like Insurrection too. I did a whole podcast. I was on a podcast episode talking about Insurrection, actually, and how I think it's underrated. Comfort comic that I pick up just to reread. Tom Strong is one of those comics. Astro City is another one. The Green Lantern run that's behind me is something that I will often just go to and flip through. I have the Batman animated series adventures. I flip through those. Deadpool, Daniel Way. It was one of the first ones that I picked up. Same with Deadpool and Cable was one of the first Omnis. So I go back there a lot. Just checking what's behind me. Fantastic Four is something that I'd love to just pick up and flip through. That's also actually one that my daughter's taken to just grabbing off my shelf. The original Stan Lee and Jack Kirby ones. She's really into them. She likes them a lot. And even though lots of the science is flawed, there are some actual scientific terms in there, and then she gets curious about them and looks them up. So that's a good thing. Witchblade's a fun one. It's not one of my comfort ones though. Comfort's like you go to it and it just wraps you in that warm, fuzzy feeling that just makes you happy to be reading a comic. It's important, I think, to hold on to that feeling in anything, whatever it is, whatever your cozy thing is. Eating your favorite food, reading your favorite book, watching your favorite thing, going for a walk. It's important to get into that headspace whenever you can, if you can. Just to love life. Please do some Marvel comics. I know. I need to. I know I need to. You're not wrong. Balls Monkey, love the name, asks favorite Scooby-Doo incarnation. Favorite Scooby-Doo. Oh, the second I'm turning into Adam Driver. The second one. The one from the 2000s. If you haven't seen that interview, it's amazing. It's where he forgets the name of I'm doing it too. The Last Jedi? Yeah, is that it? The second one? He has this interview where he's like, the second one. It's so good. I love it. What's new, Scooby-Doo? History of Kamala Khan. I actually have a mammoth Kamala Khan video scripted, but it made me sad. So I didn't end up filming it. I don't film things that make me sad or make me feel bad, or angry or anything like that. I want to put goodness out there into the universe. Let me catch up with you because it's nearly midnight. I don't know why I turned like that. Like it's scary. Nothing scary or spooky. Oh. Monsters on Mystery Incorporated. Mystery Incorporated's all right. Least favorite Star Trek story. We don't want to end on a negative like that. Least favorite Star Trek story. Probably the ones where they do like the bad holodeck episodes. Probably those ones, like Janeway's Irish Village or stuff like that. I know some people love Janeway's Irish Village. They're going to come for me now. They're going to be like, how dare you? That's important to her character development. I don't have to like the Irish Village. You can't make me. You can't make me. Oh, Langley is throwing out a curveball with favorite being Star Trek Beyond. I like Beyond. I don't think Beyond gets enough credit. Everybody's just there making fun of the fact that they used a Beastie Boys song, which deserves to be made fun of. But I do think that it has some strong moments. I think of the new era Trek movies, Beyond's my favorite. Into Darkness, definitely my it knows what it did. And I've talked about what it did, and I won't. Yeah, okay, there we go. Least favorite, Into Darkness. Angry, gruh. I don't have a lot of I save my anger for special things. Things worthy of it. It needs to be worthy. What did it do? It knows what it did. Oh, Mac, it knows what it did. You can guess what it did. Yeah, the Kelvin timeline. I always forget that it should be called that we're supposed to call it Kelvin track, then Kurtzman track, and then people get mad at me. But if we're not getting mad at each other, are we really in the Trek fandom? I don't think so. I don't think we are. Carlos, thank you very much. I live by Deadpool and Siren. I'll never forgive Marvel for embracing it. Joe Kelly's forgive figure. I think I know what you're trying to say. Joe Kelly's Deadpool run is one of my faves. I have that one. Yeah, Deadpool, reading Joe Kelly's Deadpool and then reading modern Deadpool that's a head trip because they are so different. They're so different. It's so interesting to see how the meta aspect of the character really came to overtake him to the point where for some creators that's all he is. And that's very interesting and sad in a way because there was a lot more to Deadpool than that. And it's nice when those other elements can still be brought forward. But like flanderization is a good word for it, where just one trait really comes to overpower the way the character is perceived. I love Deadpool so much. I have so much Deadpool back there, and I've never talked about him once. But he's great. He's one of he is one of the first characters who I seriously collected like most of what he did. And somehow Hal became one of those characters too. I don't know what happened to me. Who am I? God. Enterprise is so underrated, says Black Phoenix. My dad would agree. He's rewatched that series so many times. Sometimes he calls me, is like, Enterprise rewatch. And I'm like, okay, because I love my dad. Oh. There's Cisco sass in the chat. Cisco is amazing. Oh, don't let me get into balancing the emissary stuff again. Opinion on the human Green Lanterns. All right, I think this will be the last question because we're dipping past midnight. But there are too many. There are too many. We need to focus, and I would love to see more alien lanterns. And last one, please do a review of X-Men at the Texas State Fair. I think it's from 1986. I'll look for it because that does sound like something fun. And we do need to do more Marvel, and we haven't done just a fun, wacky one in a while. So I will look for it. All right. Thank you so much. Yes. It was a lot of fun. Let me be true to my word, and we can do DC solicits with a StreamYard and a changing of screens. But it will probably be awkward at the start, and I will probably make a mistake, and we'll get through it together. But it'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for hanging out and just chit-chatting as always. It was a good time. I hope you enjoyed the randomness. And yes, I will see you again soon with more videos. Yes. All right. Way to make it as awkward as possible. See you again soon. Bye.